Hey, hello, welcome everyone. And today is episode 4, and it's a Saturday. So, how's everyone doing? Well, when I first started out working on my business back in 2002, there was no such thing as a weekend. So, whether it's a weekend or it's a weekday, I still continue to work because at that early stage of just starting out, you really have to put in every ounce of effort into building the business itself. So it was not easy because, you just have to put in as much time as you can into the business. So if you're watching, please leave me a comment so I know that you are here with me. And once again, if you have got any questions for me regarding how to build online courses, on the internet, just drop me a comment. Right. So we're gonna dive into today's topic. But before that, I just want to say a few things about the weekend. I used to think that you should just do as much as you can every single day, especially if you are starting out your business or when you are working on your business, right? I mean, you should just simply, put in as much effort as you can and just work harder than anybody else so that you can get ahead. And that was how I kind of lived my life before I got married. And so after I got married, I was still, trying to adjust to that. But when I got kids, that was when I recognized that there has to be a balance. And the balance is where you really look at, wanting to be able to um, balance between work and family. Hi, Pedro. Hi, how are you? All the way from Portugal. Thank you so much for your support and just letting me know that you are watching. Right? Yeah. So the weekend was really, once I have kids, the weekend really was like I want to make sure that and am able to invest time with the kids, with the family. I also want to take this time to kind of recharge. And so one of the key activities that I always engage in the weekend, it's this thing called, a weekly review. And in the weekly review itself, essentially I will be looking at, what has worked, what has not worked, and what are some of the things I want to change up in the coming week. What do I have in the coming week that I need to pay attention to? How can I balance, my work, and also that essentially goes into the weekly review. And then interestingly, the other day I was reading on Instagram and I saw a post by someone from the Future Group, right? And he said that work on Mondays to Fridays, and then take the weekends off, right? Because he said that, well, if you put in all the work and if you're gonna work 7 days a week and you are still not seeing if you're working 5 days a week and you're still not seeing your company succeed, working 7 days a week ain't gonna make a difference. Well, I guess from one point of view that it's accurate, because if you got your act together and you got everything in place, I think you just need to invest a good amount of quality time working on the business, and that's good, right? But if every day it's a day of firefighting, every day it's a situation where you have to look at how do I solve the problem, how do I get this going, and so that is going to be a big problem, right? So, and especially in today's context. Okay, so So this kind of segue into what I want to talk about today. Today, I want to talk about this idea of what remains the same because, with COVID-19, many people it's talking about what are some of the changes that's going on, and I mean, for sure, we are seeing a lot of changes that is happening. The way that we live personally, it has changed. The way that we socialize has changed. The way that we do a business have changed, and the way our customers interact with us have changed. And that is something that is a given. However, I think there are not enough attention paid to what remains the same. I mean, we all want to talk about what has changed, and we kind of drive ourselves crazy with all this uncertainty, and no one really knows what's going to happen, once post COVID-19, or like in Singapore's case, we don't really have a sense of what's going to happen after the circuit breaker has been lifted. How's it going to be like? Are we going to go back to what was life like pre-COVID-19? We don't know, right? And so we can only make certain educated guesses and assumptions about how things are going to be. But the truth is that we don't really know. We're going to be operate in this highly changing environment that really requires us to do two things very well. One is it really requires us to pay very good attention to what's happening, and secondly, to be able for us to really be learning fast enough so that we are able to cope and we are able to manage, and hopefully we are able to thrive in this new environment. So two things, right? The two things. We need to be very good at observing, because we need to know what's working, what's not working, where's what going, right? And we also need to learn quickly. Okay, so that it's what that it's going to change. But what about the other aspect of things where things remain the same? What are some of the things that remain the same? Well, if you ask me, I say that the way that we build relationship remains the same. I mean, the fundamentals of it remains the same. How would you trust a person? The fundamentals there remain the same. So let's talk about it in the business context. How would you trust someone well enough to say that, yes, I want to do business with you? Well, I think it was this way pre-COVID-19, and it's going to stay the same post-COVID-19. So what I'm talking about here is the following. How you build trust. You have to provide value, and you have to do it in such a way that the person at the receiving end is going to be able to get value out of it. They are going to be able to recognize that you have helped them gotten results. And that's one part. The other part really is, you want to be consistent. And I think the second part is where most people fail. And that's something that you want to think about. Right. So I think in while we talked about all the things that have changed, what remains the same is the idea of building trust. The other thing, I am of the view that it has remained the same. It's why do people learn? So let's not talk about, in the context of education, the pre-employment education. Right. And if we talked about learning in the context of in-employment training, for example, right? Why is it that people would want to attend a course or to learn something? And that goes back all the way to the fundamentals of the principles of adult learning. Why it's what drives an adult to want to learn. And going back to Malcolm Knowles, the good old days of talking about andragogy, the reason why adult learn is because we have a goal or we have a problem that we want to resolve. Sometimes it could be a goal that we want to achieve, but we have a problem, we can't get to our goal. And so that's why we learn, right? That's why we picked up a book. That's why we watch a video. That's why we listen to a podcast. These are the things that we do. And we learn it because we want to be able to apply it so that it's able to help us resolve that problem and help us achieve our goal. That's primarily why we learn. And I think, in pre-COVID-19, that has been the case. Post-COVID-19, this will remain to be the same thing. And with that said, right, I think what's going to change in that context itself when it comes to learning is that people are going to be a little bit more discerning, because there could be many content out there. And yesterday we talked about so much content, so little time, right? There's so much content out there. And how is it that people could, sift through that whole barrage of information and tease out what is good, right? So those are some of the things that we really have to think about. And so the way I look at it is that, while so many things have changed, but the fundamentals of how people build relationship, the fundamentals of why people learn has not changed. And in fact, if it has changed, it has in fact expedited the need for that, because we are, as I said, we are in a rapidly changing environment where things are happening so fast, or things are changing so fast. The only way for us to know what to do next is we have to observe and we have to learn quickly. And so with that, that kind of set our context of what remains the same. So where does it go from here? And, what am I up to? And so what I've been up to, it's really helping a group of people who have recognized that they have a talent. And I know the word talent kind of rub people up a little bit, especially, the proponents of the growth mindset, because talent seems to be like a stock. It's whether you have it or you don't. However, if you read, what's her name? The name just escaped me. If you read her book, Mindset, Carol Dweck, right? If you read her book, Mindset, and I can't remember which chapter it is, but in one of the chapters, she discussed at length about the concept of talent. Well, many of us think that talent is something that either you have it or you don't. The way she thought about it really is that talent is something that you could actually grow over time, right? And the way I look at it is that talent really is about, you having a passion for certain things, and over time you develop that interest and you sharpen your skills, you become more proficient, you become more effective, you become more proficient and efficient, right? And so that kind of leads you and put you in a position where you become better than anybody else. Not just because you were born with it, but it's more of because you put in the work. And because you put in the work, you ought to get better if you are a person who is good at observing, as well as good at learning and applying very quickly, which is a skill set that it's really, really needed in today's context itself. So I've been working with people who have a talent, right? And you have a talent. Okay, and let's get this over and done with. You and I are both talented, right? You and I, we're both talented. And so now that we have discussed this, let's get down to learning and teaching one another, right? So like I say, let's get this out of the way. You and I are both talented. Now that we have recognized that, let's get down and start learning and teaching one another. And if you look at how Carol Dweck defined or talked about the word talent in her book, Mindset, she actually doesn't look at talent as a stock, as something that you're born with, but talent as a starting point. And talent is something that you can grow. And the way I interpreted that to be is that we all have an inclination towards certain thing. You know, we all have interest or passion in a certain area. And a small group of us, what we will do is we will invest time, energy, resources, and money into bettering our skills over time, right? Learning as much as we can, putting it into practice, and then growing from there. And as a result of that consistent, deliberate, and conscientious practice and application, that's how we get better. And so once we reach a certain threshold, we become known for the particular field. And when people look back, of course, people are gonna not see the days of doubt, the days of recording live videos and only had one person or sometimes nobody watching. But people, what they're going to see are the successes, the tons of views, the hundreds of engagement, thousands of engagement that's going to get from the post. But what people failed to notice was that the times where you put in the work, which is what is one thing in common with everyone who has some kind of success. And so recognizing that these people have talent, the next step really is to get them to think about teaching. Because teaching is arguably the best way to build trust, as well as to position yourself as an authority in that field. Teaching, yes, teaching, right? And like I said, you know, one of the most influential person in most people's life has got to be the teacher, right? Other than the parents. And so teach because you're good at it and you want to use what you know to help other people solve their problem or to work towards their goal. And so teach because that's how you build authority. Teach, that's how you make an impact. And once you go from recognizing that you have a talent and you start teaching, the next level is you want to help people transform. Because when I learn something from you, I get transformed. I am now better at able to do this. And because I'm better able to do this, I am transformed. I am no longer the person I used to be. I'm transformed. And so what I want to do is really to work with people who recognize that they have a talent, they're passionate about sharing it, and not just for income per se, but to also make an impact. And so that's where it will lead to some kind of transformation. That being said, I need to qualify that while most people can do, not everyone can teach. I've always remembered this saying where people say that, well, the ones that can do, the ones that can't teach. And I think that's all bullshit. I think the one that can and the one that want to are the ones who are going to teach. And so if you have a talent and you want to teach because you not just want to help other people, you want to make an impact and you want to see your learners transform, then I invite you to talk to me, because what I'm doing is I'm helping a group of people to set up an automated system to market that online course. Automated system to market that online course. And you can start right away for free today, right? And so I'm going to show you behind the scene. I'm right now writing a course. And if you are interested, or as my American friends would say, if you are interested, make sure you leave a comment, make sure you leave a comment and say interested, because I will get in touch with you and I will share with you more about what this automated system is. All right, time's up for me. It's way past 20 minutes today. I wish you all, a great Saturday. For those of us here in Asia, we're winding down, our Saturday. Have a great evening. For those of you who are in Europe, and especially my friends in America, good Saturday morning. And I hope that, you find great gratitude and great inspiration to get through your day. And as always, if this COVID-19 thing, it's driving some of us nuts, and mental health is a serious issue, right? So any one of you who wants to have a chat about mental well-being, feel free, send me a DM. I'll be more than glad to speak to you on that. So if you're interested in the automated system to market your online course, if you have a talent you want to teach and you want to transform people, talk to me. With that, this is Melvin Tan signing off. I'll talk to you again.